Hi everyone, I thought I would start a new reading vlog today. I'm sitting at my desk and am confronted with the book trolley that is beside me. I will insert a cutaway so you can see how overflowing this book trolley is. I bought this so that I could arrange very neatly the books that I had bought and not yet included in videos, and the books that I'd read and not yet wrapped up in videos. And the capacity of each basket was when I was going to do a haul, and it would seem that I have literally been buying into the capitalist ideal of purchasing things to make you feel better recently, which is, you know, not always the best, but also books and supporting bookshops and creative people. So let's balance those things out. And speaking of that, I want to sort out this book trolley, but I also need to make room for some book posts that also just arrived that's not all bookish, and I thought I would show you what has arrived in the post recently. I bought some greetings cards from Clover Robin. I think I've included her in a favourites video before. I just love her art, and she has the most wonderful, cheerful greetings cards. Here's another one. Lots of flowers and jugs. Also lots of potting and house plants, like this one here. I just find her style really, really calming, and is just, you know, the embodiment of spring, and that's, you know, what we need at the moment. Speaking of which, I also bought this recently, which has just arrived. This is called A Mind Spread Out on the Ground by Alicia, Elliott. And is this not one of the most beautiful covers you have ever seen in your life? I'll read you the blurb. It says, the Mohawk phrase for depression can be roughly translated to a mind spread out on the ground. In this urgent and visceral work, Alicia Elliott explores how apt a description that is for the ongoing effects of personal, intergenerational and colonial traumas she and so many Native people have experienced. Elliott's deep personal writing details a life spent between Indigenous and white communities, a divide reflected in her own family, and engages with such wide-ranging topics as race, parenthood, love, art, mental illness, poverty, sexual assault, gentrification and representation. This has also arrived, which is one of my most anticipated releases of the year. This is actually a much bigger book than I thought it was going to be. I don't know why I expected it to be shorter. I have no idea. Anyway, this is Leone Ross's new novel, and this is about two star-crossed lovers who track across a country, I think, to meet each other across one day. It says, the world is staring awake again, each resident with their own list of things to do. A wedding feast to conjure and cook, a cheating husband to discover, a lost soul to set free. As the sun rises, two star-crossed lovers try to find their second chance at abiding love. When night falls, all have been given a gift, and many are no longer the same. The sky is pink, and some wonder if it will ever be blue again. I was also sent a review copy of this, which I requested. This is Disturbing the Body, which is a collection of stories and essays, I think, or maybe just stories. Okay, so it's categorizing itself as speculative memoir, so it's drawing on personal experience and braiding that with the mythological and the supernatural to express different kinds of truths. It says, from illness to major medical operations, childbearing to pain and chronic illness to disability, Disturbing the Body sets out to explore the many ways women feel powerless and at odds with their own bodies. In a dozen stories reflecting memoir, experience and body horror, this is an anthology full of heart that is not for the faint-hearted. I will link that in the description box down below because it's by a small indie press, so you may only be able to get it from their website. And then, very excitingly, the most recent edition of the Rialto has landed on my doorstep. This is number 95, I think. Yes, 95. And I always get excited when this lands because it is my absolute favourite poetry journal, but also because I saw that some people have been sharing poems from it online, and what I've seen so far, it is incredible. I'll link a poem down below by Emily Pritchard that was shared on Twitter, which took my breath away. And finally, it is Mr. M's mum's birthday soon, so I've bought her a couple of things. I know that she really likes this mug that I have, and I'm always asked where it's from if I ever share it online too. It's from Anthropology, and they still do it. I've had it for a year at least, but it's still on their website. I'll link it in the description box down below. It looks like pressed flowers in the mug and it's beautiful, and I know that she really likes that, but like many of us, she has 1,000,001 mugs anyway. But I noticed that they do photo frames in the same style, so I've bought her one of the photo frames that has that pressed wildflower look, which is really, really lovely. So I'll link that in the description box down below if you happen to be interested. I am gonna crack on with work now, and then I'm gonna go for a walk, and then I'll come back to you when either I'm cooking or I'm reading, but in between that I will take you on the walk that I go on to. So let's cut to that walking footage. I've propped you on the window ledge so that you can hear the birds. It is the end of the workday on Tuesday and I am super knackered today. I don't know why particularly, but I am, and I'm loving that it is still just light. The sun has set, but it hasn't gone dark yet. So I'm gonna put on some shoes and go for a walk because I haven't been outside today. I finished reading this morning Show Us Who You Are by Elle McNichol, and I cried so much. I can't remember the last time I felt so many emotions reading one book. It's incredible. I cried, I laughed, I felt so indignant and enraged, and all of those emotions in the space of a couple of pages. I'm hosting an event with Elle tomorrow for work. It's her book launch night. I'll insert some footage from that in this video, and I'll also link it in the description box down below, because I'm assuming, well, maybe I don't know if it will be available afterwards because it's a ticketed event, but if it is available, I'll link it. I'm not sure. I loved her book A Kind of Spark, which came out last year. This book came out last week, and it's about a young girl called Cora who becomes best friends with someone whose father is running this AI company making holograms. It is about being proud of who you are, and it is about eugenics really, and when they're making these holograms, you know, who they want to make holograms of and what parts of you they want to keep and what parts they want to throw away. It's an Own Voices neurodivergent book, and it's just phenomenal, so I recommend picking that up. But yeah, I'm gonna go outside and enjoy this bird song because it's lovely. I just realised my glasses are filthy as well. And then I'm gonna come home and make some pasta, which definitely won't wake me up. Well, it'll just make me really sleepy, but that's fine. I'm gonna make some pasta, and also I have some dough that's rising in the kitchen because I'm making pulled pork buns, but instead of using pork, I'm using jackfruit, and I'm making those today because for some reason I always think they're nicer the next day. You would think they wouldn't be because baked goods tend to be best as soon as you make them, but I like making them and then reheating them for lunch the next day. Maybe because the dough gets a bit chewy and that's nice. I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm gonna go outside. It's a dog. Wonder if I can steal it. Only joking a little bit. Hi everyone, it is Thursday. I got caught up in work yesterday, so I didn't end up filming anything, but the event with Elle in the evening went really well. I didn't end up filming any of it because I was using my computer and I was hosting it and I didn't want to be worried about setting up a camera, but I'll insert screenshots here as proof that it happened. And it was a ticketed event, so I don't think it's available online, but if you message Blackwell's, if you wanted to watch the event, I think you could probably buy a ticket retrospectively perhaps, and then they could send you the link to the event because they did record it. You can always ask them if you would like to. It was lovely to do the event, one because Elle's book is brilliant, both of them are, but also, I don't know, we were talking about this, it's just different to have an event with two disabled authors talking about books that have disability representation. The conversation is just very different. So it was a really lovely event. I enjoyed it, and as Elle said afterwards, I think for both of us it felt very liberating, and that was really great. Speaking of books with disability representation, next month there is a disability readathon happening. I'm not involved in the process of making this readathon at all. I'm just admiring it from afar, though I will be hosting a reading sprint for the readathon during the month at some point. But I'll link the website in the description box down below. Erin has set up this whole website with all of the prompts. I may do a TBR video, I'm not sure, but I definitely intend to read lots of books about disability in April anyway. And then in May, Kendra and I are going to be doing an event with Face Equality, who's in association with Changing Faces UK, where we're going to be talking about representation of disfigurement and disability in the media. I don't think the event details for that are up yet, but I'll mention that again in another video. You can always keep an eye on Instagram because I'm sure I will link it there when that's available too. This morning I had a lovely cup of coffee, well, tea and breakfast with Jean and Lauren virtually. We were putting the world to rights, as we like to do, and I have been going through my new book, the final PDF of it, and double checking everything. It's been typeset. Images have been put in because there are some images in this book. It's coming out the end of September, beginning of October. I still don't think I can talk to you about it. I really desperately want to. It's the sales conference for the book next week, where I have to pitch it to booksellers and sales rep online again, obviously, for the first time. So that's really the first time I'll have talked about the book with people who are not either a close friend or, you know, my editor. It's the first time really that the book will feel as though it's living and that it's going to be an actual thing. There's always this weird space in the publishing process when you've finished it and it's even, you know, being typeset and you've seen everything as it's going to be apart from a finished book. And there's normally about 6 months between that and a book coming out, sometimes shorter, where it almost feels like it's never going to happen. It's not real, you didn't do it, it's not going to be out in the world. So it's going to be fun to read parts of it and talk about the background of the book to, as I said, booksellers and sales reps who will help spread the word about the book. And when I can tell you more about it, I will do. One little detail about it, which makes me really happy, is that this book has a bookmark ribbon. Don't you love those? I love those so much. I love them. So you can mark your space with a blood red ribbon. Excellent. I've also bought this. I may make a video about this, I don't know. I'm not sure. But my doctors have yet again reminded me that I should start to learn Braille. So I have bought myself this book on how to learn Braille. The thing is that most books about learning Braille are obviously for sighted people. I say obviously, why should that be obvious? But they are for sighted people. And the reason that I've been told to learn now is that it's much easier to learn Braille as a sighted person than when you lose your sight. But I do think that it's very, very different to visually look at Braille and then feel Braille as well. Where is it? 2 seconds. Here it is. There is some Braille on this, which is one of my eye drops, so you can feel the Braille along the side. And I've been trying to feel it and work out letters, and it is so very different, obviously, to looking at the dots on a page. But you've got to start somewhere, haven't you? You do have to start somewhere. So I've bought this one, and I'm trying to treat it like, did anyone do those Usborne puzzle books when they were younger? There was like Puzzle Castle, Puzzle Island, and I love them so much. And I'm going to be treating this like that. It reminds me of obviously like learning letters in school. So you copy out each letter again and again and again. And then at the end, they have different worksheets where you're not copying things out, but you are putting that into practice, and you have to say what each individual letter is. So I'm going to be doing that soon. I don't know if I'll make a video about it. I might make a video about it later. It's kind of hard when you're, you know, working out and processing things. Obviously, researching technology at the same time, which will be the most predominantly useful thing. It's just, I think Braille is a handy thing to have. Especially in hospital settings and stuff like that, because Braille is everywhere, and it's just on random things that you wouldn't probably think about necessarily in everyday life. Traffic lights, tube stations, toilet doors, light switches in public places. It's everywhere, so it's a good thing to know, but it's a weird thing to have to think about learning. A few other things. I wrote some notes down of things that I wanted to tell you about. I always like to share things that I am enjoying. Number one, the book that I'm reading, right? Because it's a reading vlog. I am now reading A Still Life by Josie George. I'm about halfway through and I adore this. It is so readable. Josie has a medical condition that doctors haven't been able to name. They have thought that she's had various things over the years. She's had this illness since she was very, very young. And she's talking about what it's like to live, as the title would suggest, a very still life, a life where she has to rest a lot. She's talking about good rest and good work and bad work. And just talking about how she sees the world. She decided to keep a diary for a year, which was 2018. And she's also talking about bringing up her son. And it is like a piece of art. It really is a piece of art. The way that she writes is stunning, and the way that she writes about female friendship is also beautiful. There's this paragraph here that says, "We're taught that only romance can give us the love stories we crave. I say, come and sit with me at my best friend's table one tea time, our formed family delighting in every part of each other. My sister's eyes catching mine in love, in belonging at last, all of us laughing loud enough to make the sugar shake. And tell me you still believe that." I love the things that her son comes out with. Here she's talking about her son interacting with their cat. "The way he talks to our cat when he thinks no one else is listening would tell you everything you need to know about how much heart runs through him. 'You are the best cat,' he'll whisper, 'and I love you even though you bite me sometimes and don't like cuddling. Are you having a good day? I think you are.'" I can so imagine him saying that to his cat. The way she talks about pain is really interesting, talking about how pain is like weather, and how she tries to remember that it's the weathering of her body and she has to withstand it, and the weather will move on, which is not to say that it will go away, but it is always constantly changing, and she wants to be observant of that, pay attention to it, listen to it, forecast what she can and accept what she can't. It is a stunning book. And another book that I'm reading at the moment, which is also about art but in a very different way, is The Death of Francis Bacon by Max Porter. This is a tiny little book where Max is creating paintings with words, imagining the death of Francis Bacon. And I'm a huge fan of Francis Bacon's work. One of my poems in the Girl Aquarium on crucifixion is inspired by one of his triptychs. And I love Max's writing in general, so I'll talk about both of those books in this month's wrap up when I've finished reading them. I wanted to point you in the direction of a poem that Ray put up yesterday, Raymond Antrobus. It was a poem that he wrote a while ago, I think, but he posted this week in light of everything that's going on with Meghan Markle, and it is such a wonderful poem. I'll link it in the description box down below. A YouTube channel that I have been loving recently is Minnie Small. I've been subscribed to her for quite a long time, but I've been really drawn to long vlogs at the moment, which are very atmospheric, not necessarily long chatty vlogs, but vlogs where people are creating art a lot of the time. That's why I love her vlogs, and Fran and Holly Exley as well. I'll link their channels in the description box down below. Minnie's voice is so soothing. So she does studio vlogs where you can watch her create things in her sketchbook, and sometimes she'll talk you through that, and sometimes it'll just be her painting and you just get to observe that, and it's just lovely to have on in the background. She also has some vlogs where she shows you what she's doing in her day, and the organization pleases my soul. In the evenings, we've been watching The Great Pottery Throwdown. I am loving the second series of that more than the first season. I'm not sure why particularly, I just do. And maybe it's because they're all bubbling because of COVID, so it feels like a very intense, in a lovely way, atmosphere between all the contestants. If you're not familiar with the show, it's basically like a pottery version of the Great British Bake Off. And the host this year is Siobhan, who's an actress. She's in Derry Girls, and we basically dress the same. Case in point, I'll insert a picture here, and that pleases me, and I just love the whole vibe of it. If you're looking for something cozy and wholesome, it's absolutely wonderful. And then finally, a ambience reading vlog that I have been, I don't mean reading vlog, do I? I just mean an ambulance. I don't mean an ambulance. And my goodness, let's try that again. I have been really enjoying an ambience reading room video, which is called Rainy Day Coffee Shop Ambience. And let me just insert a tiny clip here. Is that not the coziest thing you have ever seen, ever? I love putting that on in the background. I think it's about 3 hours long, and I put it on in the background in the evening when I'm reading, and it helps me concentrate and focus on reading. I also have my own read with me videos if you haven't seen those before, which I'll link in the description box down below, but this one particularly has been so helpful for concentration with me recently, so I wanted to recommend it to you as well. I think I'm going to wrap this vlog up here for now. If you're new and you would like to stick around, it would be lovely if you could consider subscribing. I'm sending lots of love to everybody, and I will speak to you all very soon. Lots of love. Bye.